I'll be discussing about UseState. So before discussing about the UseState, let me write some simple JavaScript functions. Inside the function, I am declaring variables with n1 and n2. Let nt equal to 200. So simply I am returning f1, then we will get 100. Okay. Suppose if I want to return both n1 and n2, is it possible in the JavaScript? Let's see whether it will print both the values or not. So I am calling f1. Let's see whether it will print or not. See, in the return, I have written n1 and n2, but the value which we are getting is only n2. So that means only one value can be returned from our function. We can do one thing. We can store that into one array. So I am writing inside the array. Now if I call the function f1, then we can able to print both the numbers. I need to do sum for these two numbers. My f1 returns some result. So let result equal to f1. My RESU return type is what? My f1 function is returning the array with n1 and n2. So here the type is array. So RESU of 0 plus of 1. Can I write like this? Yes, it is 100% right, because our RESU is holding the array. So I am writing the array of 0 is 100 plus array of 1, that is 200. So I'm adding the sum and displaying the result. Anyway, it returns the array. So can I write equal to, can I write like this? Because anyway it is returning the array. So can I hold a with first value? Now my a value will be 10, a value will be 100 and b value will be 200. See, a will be 100, b will be 200. So if I write a plus b, see directly printed as 300. See, here I am doing the destructuring A and B. In here I am holding the value RESU, but here I am destructuring. First value, returned value N1 kept inside A, and the second value, the returned value, are kept inside B. So can I call my F1? It returns me what? An array, right? So what is this first value it is returning? It is returning array, but the first value is number, and the second value is function. So can I hold this first value? So what is my A value here? 100. What is my B value? Function. If I print A, 100. If I print B, it will give a function. Yes, you can change. Equal to 700. Now A. Okay, you can change the value. So instead of hard coding the n value, what I will do is, let me remove. Here I am assigning to none, and n equal to new data. So can I write like this? So I am passing some value 10. So this 10 will be mapped to this number NO. It will hold, and it is passed into the block of the function and assigned to n. And after, if you look at this function, here I am passing the parameter new data, and this new data will be assigned to n, and this n will be stored to this n, and return an array with the n and f. Const So I am sending the 600 argument to that function. So let's see. Now pp values 100. Sorry, pp is 600. qq will return a function c. Okay. So if I pass qq to a value with some value, I am passing 500. Will it get updated? That means the value will be passed new data, and the new data will be assigned to n, and then n will be assigned to this n. So let me do a slight change here in the function. So my use state return type is what? An array, right? So let me go back to this compiler. Const a comma b equal to use state 0. That means, see, this is the use state syntax. So it is an hook that allows the functional components to manage the state. So in React, we are using this use state. It use it to store and manage the values within the component. So if we want to change over a period of time, we can use this use state hook. So in our case, what is the a value here? In our case here, if I go back to here, a value is nothing but a number, initial state, and b, the function f. I have written the sample code in demo.js. I have taken the two input fields, one button for the result. This is our UI. I'll be entering the values in the input 1 and input 2, and I will try to calculate this sum. If you change anything in the input field 1, this onChange method will get triggered, right? For triggering the onChange input, we need to create one method. So can we create one method? So here I am creating one method. So at the time of clicking that particular button, this method has to be executed. Whenever you are on changing any particular event, this function is going to call. But internally we are not calling the method like C. Like this. But internally React will take care about the method call. But we need to pass one object event as a parameter inside this. So event is an object. The synthetic event triggered or not? The on change is getting triggered. But my requirement is I don't want the synthetic event. I want which element got triggered. If I'm changing in the input to also it is synthetic event triggered. But how can you differentiate that which element is getting triggered? So for that one, I'll be writing observe carefully. I'm entering the input one. So input ID input 1 got triggered. If I enter value in the input 2, see input 2 got triggered. Okay, now we have got input 1 and input 2 events. So how can we get the values from that input 1 and input 2? By targeting. Let's see how. See, the value which I am entering is displaying, and if I enter in the input 2, the values are getting identified for that particular input fields. And one more scenario. Here we are unable to identify from which input text field our numbers are getting displayed. Right. I am entering 5555. Whether it is coming from the input 2 or input 1. How can we able to identify? Means pass ID. Now if I enter 9, the input 1 text will get triggered. Input 1, input 1. If I enter in input 2, the input 2 got triggered. I am able to store the n1 and n2 values in the num. In line number 8, whatever the event I am triggering, the numbers will be stored into that variable num. But I need to pass this num variable to my sum function also. How can I able to pass this local variable to another function? So it is impossible to access that variable which is declared in one function cannot be accessed inside another function. So for that we need to create one object globally and access. So I have created the object, so global object. So this global object can be accessible to any functions. It can be accessible to the function change, find some function also. So, so inside the function change, can I keep my data of so first let me check whether we are inserting the data sum or not. Click. I'm clicking on sum. It should return the object with the properties n1 and n2. When why the submit is not working? button on changes. So now let's run the application. Entering the value 96 plus 4. See, it is getting triggered. Now in the function sum, we are getting the number 1 and number 2 values. So we can directly add num1 plus num2. I am printing the result. Inside the expression, I am passing the result. So let's run the application. Entering 50, the input field 1, and 50 in the input field 2, and I click on sum. See, 100 got printed. So by using the use state, how can we do this sum? Let's see. So I have taken the use state with the A and B. A is nothing but the initial state. So I have assigned the initial state as 0. So B is nothing but the function. So here, can I store this result into one variable? Can I pass inside A? NO is the initial state. Okay. B. F means you can assume as B. So F is a function. So instead of writing sum equal to result, so can I pass B one parameter result? Is it fine? Because B is the function to update the state, which will trigger when the state get updated. So instead of B, I change the name set sum. Any problem? As per convention, I'm changing the name. So can you use here? So that's it. So let me run the application and check whether we are getting the expected result or not. So I'm entering the value, in the input field. So when I try to click on sum, it got updated. So in the line number 6, I have initialized the empty object for storing the input values. In line number 8, I have used the useState hook to manage the sum state, and I have created the fn change function, that is an event handler for input change. Inside the function block, I am updating the data object with the current input value, and coming to the fn find sum function, this is used for finding the sum, this event handler. So inside the function block, I'm calculating the sum by converting the input values to numbers. So the result is updating the sum state with the calculated result in the set state sum. So that's all about the use state. If you like, please subscribe and share. Thank you, friends.